It's a race recap from St. Augustine this morning, where I competed in the Olympic Distance Duathlon. I raced this event in May, same course, much cooler conditions in May, and today, race start, feels like 88 degrees with 90% humidity. The warm-up was, it was real. The humidity in an easy warm-up, just getting loose, was definitely made me consider, the plan for today. Knew it was going to be like that, but really brought it to reality through warm-up. Prior to warm-up, stretching out, I felt actually pretty loose in my hip area. So that actually, in that region, the core there and the hips was probably the loosest I felt in a warm-up in quite some time. And in warm-ups, my knee didn't feel good, but the hips felt good. So it was an odd combination. But it is what it is. So this was a 1 mile run, 24.8 mile bike, and then a 10K run on the back end. The first run, really odd. I felt like I was, with those hips, I felt like I was actually moving pretty efficiently, and was disappointed in my time. I was 10 seconds off my pace in May. Much hotter conditions today, but for a 1 mile run at the start, shouldn't have been that. So that's actually my first run, the first run in a race this year where I've been disappointed, but I felt good. So it is what it is. So got through the first run and then hopped on the bike, and so it was 12.4 miles out, and then U-turn straight back, just out and back up the A1A. Nice course, very little wind. We were supposed to have a tailwind coming back. Didn't feel like it. It felt about the same going out as it did coming back, which is okay. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody raced it. But, so the first 4 miles, I was struggling. And in these, especially in an Olympic distance race, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 miles where that first part for the bike, for me anyway, feels a bit rough until you kind of settle in. And that was true today. Didn't feel like I had good power at all to start. And my heart rate was spiked from the first run, and with the heat, humidity, it was spiking. So I was trying to get that under control on the bike early, because that would definitely, you'd pay for it later in the bike, and on that final run on a day like this is only going to get worse. So I was really paying attention to my heart rate. At probably mile 8, I got the heart rate under control, and at the same time, the legs kicked in. I felt better after mile 4, but definitely at mile 8, I inched up the power, felt a little better. And then again, at like mile 11, I felt another surge where I just felt like I was in a good groove. Power numbers were down overall, so a little disappointed in that, but I was getting better as I was riding. And probably mile, and I was doing a good job with nutrition. I probably could have drank more, but I did a good job of taking my salt, my gels, and a half a bar. I'm really happy with gel that I'm taking right now. I switched to this year, and I'm extremely happy with how that's working out. And I just feel it's giving me more carbs, and so I felt pretty good on the bike. Felt under control. It was, again, hot, humid, but felt in control. And then mile 20, the burning really started to kick in. Lower back, the glutes, and the upper hamstrings were on fire at mile 20. So definitely took that into account. So I backed off just a little bit, just to make sure I wasn't gonna blow up on the final run. So a little less power in those last 4 miles, but had 20 miles of endurance at a lower power than I was hoping, but yeah, I was driving for 20 miles, and then the last 4 were a battle, but got through. And then hopped off the bike. At some point, I was moving around in the seat just a little bit here and there, and you know, you're trying to find areas of comfort, relief, and then to drive. And I think probably at mile 20, to knowing I was suffering a little bit, I inched up on the seat to just ensure I was getting as much power as I could. Sometimes when that happens, the seat is going right through the glute. And when I hopped off the bike and run into transition, and then was running out of transition for the first 0.2 miles, I'm sure it looked like, what the hell happened to this guy? Because I was hobbling. Like, it was just one of those pains right on the sit bone that just hurt, and I knew it would work its way out, but it was like, hopefully sooner than later. But man, it hurt, and it was hard to get into a stride early in the run. And then at about 0.2 miles, it subsided. And then the typical uncomfortableness probably until about like 0.6. But then I felt actually pretty decent. I felt under control. And I think it was definitely the hydration that I was taking in on the bike and paying attention to my heart rate and keeping that under control. So I got it under control and kept it under control the rest of the way on the bike, which with this humidity and then going out on a 10K on that final run was critical. So I had my head, which for me, if I blow up, my head goes and then body collapses. And so I felt good that I was under control and had a pretty good feeling that I would be able to hold that through the final run early on. And so the first mile was faster than I thought, especially after hobbling. Faster than I thought, but I slid from there each of the next couple miles, but just slightly. It was, again, hot, humid, so I keep repeating that, but I fought, and actually mile 6, I cut because I was slipping slightly, you know, a few seconds each mile, and mile 6 I brought it back about 16 seconds faster than mile 5, so that was good, you know, knowing that, okay, now I know my head and my legs will be there for, you know, the final mile to kind of drive through the end. And I did, and got through the finish. And I felt in control with, you know, the body and handling the conditions and, you know, the pacing for, you know, all 3. Got through the finish line, felt okay. I walked back to the car to get my drinks right after. I just walked back, you know, a couple hundred yards. And I'll tell you, when I got back to the car, I was so nauseated and my head felt like it was going to blow off. It was definitely like the heat caught up to me, and I had to lay down. So I got my towel out and laid down on the next to the car for about 10 minutes, and then got my bearings together and then got up. But that just tells you that, I mean, the heat, humidity, you gotta really, you know, preload and pay attention to the nutrition and drink while you're racing, because it's such a fine line to go over the edge, and there's no coming back once you blow up. So I did a good job of that. So I kind of go through the 3 disciplines today. First run, disappointed. I think my first run, I've always, this year, it's been in the A's. I'll say a straight B today. It was a good time, not good enough, but I felt efficient. So that was, yeah, it was okay. Bike, I'll say the same. Like this was really, this race, my main, let's see, the main discipline that I was curious about was to see where my strength was on the bike. And it was lower than I wanted, oddly enough. So in the race that I did in May here, my power was slightly down from that, but my speed was better. So, and I talked to actually a couple other guys who were around me on the bike, and they had a similar comment. And I did change my handlebars on my bike about a month ago, and I felt good. Every time I'm on the bike now, it's feeling better. I'm feeling more comfortable with the setup, and the setup is more aero, and I felt it. So that, we'll see how that translates. But did that translate today? There's variables in there with power and speed, but my power was a little less, but I was faster speed. So I'm hoping that was some aerodynamics that was into play today. And anyway, I'll say the bike, and that's been probably the hardest thing to get back since the injury to the knee. I'll say a B minus, and then the final run, I'll say a C. Even with the heat and humidity, I got to be better on that second run. It's difficult, but I got to get better, and I'm getting better. I mean, this was definitely the race got me better today in prep for Australia Worlds 3 weeks from today. So this, so I feel good about that. This race in itself just got me better for Worlds, and I was gonna make a decision. I don't race back-to-back weekends. I can't remember the last time I raced back-to-back weekends, but I'm gonna race next weekend. I need a push for my bike to get me ready for Australia. So I'll use it, like, I'm not going to taper into the race, but I'm not using it as a training race. I'll go 100% to see. I need to push and drive that bike to get me better, and to push on that second run. I gotta get better. I'm getting better, gotta get better. So I don't know, let's see, takeaways today. Boy, these in Florida, heat, humidity, make sure you are prepped as you get to the start line with your fuel and during the race, and pay attention to your body. And if you if you're racing to heart rate, feel, just take that into consideration, especially the longer distances of what you can handle, and have fun. I had a blast. I'd say my mental game today, I would give it an A. So all the 3 physicals were not an A. Mentally, I was in the game all day. I fought. I had fun, and that's all you can ask for. So I got better. So that I am extremely pleased with. And 3 more weeks to race at Worlds, so that's exciting too. Can't wait for that. And I guess that's it for today. Add health to your life. I'll have a blog out with this soon.